Welcome, everyone. This is Reverend Sarah again, and now I'm in conversation with Carl Anderson, who's, I'm going to let him tell you how long he's been around this congregation, but has been involved in some specific things in this last year that I wanted him to share a little bit with you about. Carl, how long have you been a member of this congregation?
It's been decades. I'm pretty sure we joined about 1995, so
Okay,
it's been a while.
that's like about 25 years, I guess, something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
That's awesome. And currently you're serving on the endowment committee, which we call special funds.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that work and what brings you to that work and what we should know about what the endowment committee does or what the special funds committee does.
Oh, absolutely. So what brought me to that was, I've been, when I first came to BU, I was very involved in the financial side, and eventually I migrated from the finance committee over to special funds. I was asked to be on the committee. And the endowment fund is not familiar to everybody, but the endowment fund, we have a big fundraiser every year where we pick almost like a volunteer of the year and we honor them. We just did that a couple months ago, and people donate in their name. And so the endowment fund is meant to be a place where folks can make donations, and we hold that money aside and really never, in most cases, spend the amount that they donate, but we've been saving that money up for a long time, and we invest it. It generates dividends and interest and growth because we do manage it. It is invested. And then what we have the opportunity to do, which is really the fun part of the committee, is that every year we get to take 4% of whatever the total is, and we ask for people to give us grants so that we can help fund some one-off projects that maybe weren't in a budget or anything like that. So we've helped fund some of the garden projects and garden development. We helped out a lot with the tech booth. We also have, way back when, we funded the first ramp that we had up in the front of the sanctuary to be able to improve accessibility. So lots of different things. We even supplied some emergency money when we had some flooding over in RE. So a lot of different things.
So lots of different projects that people get to make proposals about, and that kind of makes it the
Yep.
fun part.
Yeah.
And I know just a little bit about what you do for a living, so this is kind of putting your work skills to use in the congregational environment.
Absolutely. Well, I will say though that I do invest, but really the way that the fund is structured is that we have a very set investment profile that we use. So it's not any one of us making any decisions. That was done a while ago, and we stick to that. And that way, there's no temptation to get into Bitcoin or anything like that. But so we're pretty
Right
conservative,
on.
but we've been able to grow the fund pretty well over the years.
Excellent. Well, what should people know in terms of what they might be able to do in terms of contributing to it or planning for contributions? I know some people leave money to us in their will so that when they um, die,
Absolutely.
they leave behind some assets for us. Tell us a little bit about that and how folks
Sure.
can be thinking about that or planning for it.
Yeah, absolutely. So we actually have some language that people can put into their trust or will, and they can leave us a bequest. And then when they pass away, that's part of their estate plan, and then those dollars can come into special funds. Folks have the ability just to say, well, we're going to lump this in with everything, and you make decisions around it. Or they could say, well, we want it for a specific purpose. And we're happy to do that too. We do have an offshoot of the main endowment fund called the Bunny and Bob Clark Fund. And Bunny and Bob were very much leaders of the congregation in its early days. And they have a small amount that they have set aside that we use to fund leadership development. So yeah, so that's an option too. And then we do our annual fundraiser where we're looking for the volunteer of the year. Ken St. John just won that, or was chosen for that. And then we use that as an opportunity to let people donate in that person's name. So that helps build the fund up too. And between those two things, we've actually, managed to accumulate around $500,000 just in principal donations. And then on top of that, we have money that we can, of course, grant and allow for other things.
And so what's the total holdings in the portfolio right now?
I'm going to say approximately 850,000, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Well, that's a pretty significant nest egg and a
it
pretty
is.
exciting thing to know that we've had enough folks contributing to that to give us that potential resource as we move forward in the future. What do I have to do to get onto this committee? How did how did you end up on this committee?
Oh boy. Well, the first time I was asked, and we have rotating positions where we can serve 2 or 3, I believe it's 2 or 3 years at a time, and then we can either run for reelection or rotate off. And so there are positions that come open. There are, let's see, 5 of us, and there are positions that come open just about every year. So uh, people can apply to run for that if they would like.
Excellent. I think this is the first congregation I've served that has as many elected positions as we do between the board, special funds, and leadership development, which I think speaks to how much we appreciate a commitment to this work and see it as really important and integral to the life of the congregation. And so I really appreciate you serving on this committee, and I appreciate the idea that we elect folks to do that. So that's
Absolutely,
great.
yeah.
Is there anything else you think we should all know about the Special Funds Committee? Did we miss
I,
anything?
I don't think so. I think we covered a lot of it, and just that if you have a project that you're interested in doing and you're looking for some funding of it, we have a form you can download on the website to apply for a grant, and we're happy to consider all those and uh, help people out with the important projects that they have here at PUU.
Excellent. Well, thanks for sharing about that piece of your work. Since I have you, I thought I might ask you about a couple other things I know you're involved in. Because part of what I want folks to see is that there's lots of ways to be engaged in our community. And so you might have specific professional skills that you bring to particular aspect of shared life, but you might also be doing something just for the sheer joy of it or because of your deep commitment. You and I went on the coming of age trip last year in Boston, and that's where I learned about your deep involvement with our Faith Formation program. And I wondered if you'd just tell me a little bit about, being involved with Faith Formation and what it is you do, why you do it, that kind of thing.
Sure. Sure, absolutely. I'll start by saying that you're the first minister who ever came on that coming of age trip, and you're still here. It wasn't that bad. Appreciate that because it's a very important program. So I would say my involvement with youth at BU really started since we do the child dedications, and part of that dedication is the congregation making a commitment to that child to help raise them. And I've always had a soft spot for kids. So I started getting involved, I would say in the beginning with the OWL program, the Our Whole Lives Comprehensive Sexuality. And I was able to take some training in that and become involved in that. And it's very fulfilling, and especially the kindergartners, because they're in there with their parents, and we're starting to teach them and get them on that road to communicating with each other on that about their bodies and things like that. And so it's very rewarding. And then I had the opportunity to become involved with the coming of age program, and that's a time that we've set aside to allow our youth in their busy lives to actually take a step back and think about what they truly believe in, as we talk about wanting to help them develop their spiritual path, to give them a chance to I guess reevaluate or evaluate where they are at the moment, and explore that for a few months. And that culminates in our two things. Number one, The youth give a service where they're in charge of the whole thing, and they give their credos. They've developed these, what I believe, credos along the way, and they present those to the congregation. We've seen some very creative ways that has been done with music and art. And the nice thing about it is these kids, if you give them the opportunity to express themselves, they do it. And it's really, I think, healthy for everybody to hear that, and also very heartening. So then we will take a trip to Boston. We call it the Heritage Trip because whereas here you have to drive miles to go from a UU church to a UU church, there it's just a few blocks away. So it's great. And of course, the UUA headquarters are there. There's a lot of history we do along the Freedom Trail. We talk about the relationship of Unitarianism and Universalism, which is there's a lot of history of that back there from the various presidents and people who lived there. So it's a really great trip. Once again, the things that are wonderful about that is there's many kids who've never flown before or been away from their families before. And we give them a chance to experience that in a very protected environment with, at least 2 to 3 of us supervising, and it's really wonderful. And there's a lot of bonding that goes on between the teens, and just a fantastic program. Yeah.
Well, I really enjoyed being with y'all on the trip, and I really appreciated actually the very authentic relationships they had with the adults on the trip, but also with each other. I really appreciated watching how they took care of each other and watched out for each other. There might have been kids who had deeper relationships with one or another, but as a group, they really seemed to care about the big picture of making sure everybody was included. And I don't think I've been with teens that were actually that in tune with that group uh, feel as I was when I was on that trip with this group. It was really obvious to me. Um,
They're so supportive of each other. One of the activities we do to bond is it's called the ropes course down in Tucson, where they have the opportunity to put on harnesses and climb up poles and walk across things and just put themselves in very precarious situations. And uh, we've had instances where people have just been, youths have been really scared to do that, but the support they get from their peers, by the end of the day, they're doing things they never thought they could do before. We had one instance too where we had a very introverted young man, and he ended up. We decided to make our own T-shirts that year, and everybody voted his design the best design, and that is what they chose to put on the T-shirt. And for him, you could just see a difference once that happened in his relationship with everybody, and made him much more confident and happy. And it was just wonderful to see.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I also remember seeing some of the young people meeting with their mentors. They have an adult mentor for the year that they
Yes.
do different things with. They do some shared learning together. And I really just enjoyed seeing them make connections with adults that weren't family members, and that were caring, thoughtful, interesting people that maybe they had some shared connection with, or just learned enough about each other to have a shared connection. That seems like a really important aspect of being a member of a congregation, is to have that kind of multi-generational friendship and connection.
I think so. I think we like that idea of diversity, and I think that's one thing, the diversity of knowing people of different ages,
Yeah,
and it helps me to keep in touch with the new generation. And people do change over generations, and things change, and so it's nice to get that. It clues me into all the newest things and newest jargon and all that kind of thing that's out there. So it's,
so Carl, are you on Snapchat or Discord?
let's say I have the apps, but I haven't been brave enough to open them.
Me either, and I have
Yeah.
teens, so but we know they exist. You
They
knew
do.
what I was
Yes.
referencing.
Yes. So when they're talking about Discord, I know they're not talking about, what I would think of as Discord.
It wasn't like a band or
Yeah.
oh. Well, I really appreciate the time you've taken to talk with me. I know there's lots of other things you're involved in, and maybe we'll have time for another conversation later on. But I just really appreciate you, and I hope other folks see some opportunities in this conversation for ways they might get involved in the congregation, and maybe also, have a glimpse into, why we spend money on the kinds of staff we had for faith formation, and why we vote people into the positions like the special funds committee. That some of the structures we've created, they really are there for a reason, and um, we need to keep supporting them both with how we pledge, but also how we show up with our own time and talent. So stewardship is multiple things, right?
Absolutely. It's a big umbrella and it really
It is.
everything is under it. Right.
Well, thanks, Carl. I hope you have a great afternoon, and
Thank you.
we'll talk again soon.
Heartache. Bye-bye.
Bye. Hi, this is Reverend Sarah Oglesby-Dunegan, the Senior Settled Minister at Valley Unitarian Universalist Congregation. We're inviting you to sustain our community through new financial contributions, continued financial support, and increasing your financial support if you're able to do so. We need about $90,000 more in pledge income from last year's budget to support our continued work in this congregation. Maybe you've never pledged before. You can make a monthly, quarterly, biannual, or annual contribution through your own bank account or through our website. This is a lot how we support other member organizations in our community, but in this case, we have about 300 members and another 150 or so friends who participate in our community. And we currently have less than 200 pledging units, families or households that make a pledge. What does this mean to you and your community? How much do you value the work this congregation does in the larger Phoenix metro area? With your contributions, we can make sure the Valley UU is still here for future generations that need a faith community that offers all the things that Valley offers. Excellent youth faith formation that prepares kids to live in a pluralistic community with respect for a wide range of beliefs and practices, grounded by a moral compass built from compassion, inquiry, accountability, and integrity. We also have adult faith formation that has a commitment to social justice and service alongside spiritual and intellectual development. We participate in interfaith community organizing, and we have worship that is engaging, renewing, and inspiring. We have a lot of mutual aid and care that holds us through all of life's challenges and celebrations. Valley UU is a healthy, interdependent community that values your contributions. Thanks for adding your special ingredients that nourish and sustain this community. May we find there is abundance where abundance is needed.